This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Place to Be Nation Wrestling Network. Welcome to the latest episode of Who's Next. I am Andy Atherton, one of your co-hosts here. As we, it's been a little bit, just sometimes things just get in the way, but we had to, we needed to do a show right before the biggest NXT show of the year. That is Stand and Deliver, taking place on WrestleMania weekend. And of course, whenever I say we, it's not just me. It is my incredible co-host, Logan Crosland. Logan, so great to be back here at the most wonderful time of the year for wrestling fans.
Yeah, absolutely. You could even say we had to stand and deliver this pod. So we're here tonight, and we will run back the clock a little bit and talk about some stuff that's happened over the last few months, but also preview the big card this weekend. So looking forward to it.
So what you did there, very clever. Yes, we are going to stand.
I come up with a catchy one every now and then.
yes, you do. You're good for one every here and there. No, but all good. So it's been an interesting few months. We're not going to really go into the nitty gritty of the last few months, but it's been interesting. We've had some new faces, we've had some changes, we've had some heel turns, some face turns, what have you. But we're really just going to go back to Roadblock, and the main reason is I actually got to go see that show because it was at the theater at Madison Square Garden. Very interesting setup, something different for me. In all the years I've been a wrestling fan, I've never quite watched a show in that kind of setup, in the theater aspect, where to me it seemed very similar to, I know I was on with Ryan Gray recently, and it seemed similar to the show he went to in Lowell, Massachusetts, right before the holidays last year, and also similar to how the Performance Center is set up, where you're pretty much mostly on, one side, and then there's very little seats, a couple of seats to the side of the rings and stuff like that. But it was very interesting. Logan, you're probably about Charlie's probably about the same age Jessica was the last time I was in that theater.
Oh, wow.
I was there for a Doodle Bops concert. I don't know if anybody out there remembers the Doodle Bops. They were kind of like the great value version of the Wiggles, so to speak, if you will.
Gotcha. You don't need to be great value of the Wiggles because, oh boy. But yeah, I remember them being around. But that's pretty impressive that you went that long without heading back. But I'm glad you got to go to the show for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's NXT probably would not have looked good. It would have looked like an AEW show if it was in Madison Square Garden proper. But it was a good time. It was a good setting for them. I do like the smaller venues for them, and AEW too. If you're going to go see that live, Mr. Jairson D'Amato was also there. We did not get our tickets at the same time, but we were in the same section, same one row apart. But he was down from me, so it was cool to hang out with him a little bit during the show. It was a fun setup. As many I work for a certain cable network, and there's a certain show that is on there, WWLFG, and there was some LFG taping going on beforehand, so it was a little bit more of an incentive for me to go, and I got to see 2 matches get taped for later in the season. I don't believe those have aired yet, so I won't give away any results there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a really cool setup. Got to see Undertaker, Mickey, Bubba, a lot of legends come out. Shawn got introduced. It was a really fun. It was intimate. As we'll talk about, I had when Dark State made their attack, Deion Lennox was literally like 6 feet away from me while waiting for his cue. So that was pretty cool. I got yelled at by Sean Kidd for spoiling that when I posted it in a chat. It was like, okay, come on.
That guy will yell at anybody.
It's not like Avengers Endgame. Come on. Yeah, he is the epitome of a get off my lawn guy. Mm-hmm. So, But, it was a really fun show. Got to see the Hardy Boys take on Fraxium for the TNA World Tag Team Championship. I thought it was a really fun match. Logan, how did it look on TV? I actually had not had a chance to go back and watch this on TV after seeing the show live. But what were your thoughts on that match? Because that's kind of like a kind of a dream cross-generation match, because Fraxium is really on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, I mean, Fraxium's one of the best tag teams in the world, if not the best tag team over the last year. They kind of got hosed in the PWI or Wrestling Observer, whatever ranking that came out, that they weren't number one. I think they ended up being number two behind somebody, probably FTR, knowing how many marks there are for them out there. But anyways, yeah, definitely one of the best tag teams out there right now, and the Hardys, one of the best tag teams of all time. So yeah, definitely a cool little cross-generational thing, like you said. But yeah, solid match. It wasn't, either of them's best or anything like that, I'll say. I mean, I think Matt especially is kind of over the hill. For the most part, so you can only get so much out of him. And I think Jeff is a little further past his prime than maybe he was a couple of years ago too. So, but yeah, Fraxium can have at least a really good match with everybody. So it was really good, but it just might not have made it to that really, really good situation that maybe Fraxium usually hits.
Yeah, for me, it was really cool just to be there for the Hardys, hearing that theme music. I wasn't at, I'm terrible with remembering what number it was, but Orlando WrestleMania when they made their surprise return, and I could just imagine.
Yeah, 33.
Yeah, there have been, of course, it's WrestleMania season, so they're replaying a lot of the biggest pops, the biggest surprises, things like that, all over WWE's YouTubes, and just hearing that music, it just kind of it's on a very, very much smaller scale, but it was very cool, and to get to see Fraxium, wrestle live. I've seen them wrestle individually. I don't know if I've ever seen them as a tag team live, but they are so much fun together. I really hope they don't split them up anytime soon.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about what happened on a little episode last night, but I hope that's not kind of an indication of maybe where they're going. So we'll
we'll talk about it, but yeah, it's kind of something they've been doing for a little bit. So yeah. Anyway, so also we had now this was a little not the match, but the kind of the aftermath a little bit. So we had Jordynne Grace defeated Roxanne Perez, just a singles match. Jordynne went over fairly clean. I thought this was going to be Roxanne's swan song for NXT because she's probably arguably may go down as could be the greatest women champion in NXT history, right? She's held the belt so many times. She had such a long tenure. She's been like kind of the flag bearer of that division for so many years, but she's been flirting with the main roster, thought she was going to be up there, losing to Jordynne Grace. But as we'll talk about, she is still, showing up there more than she has been on main roster shows. So what do you think of that match?
Yeah, I mean, she was on SmackDown this past week facing Tiffany, but other than that, I think you talked about Ryan earlier doing previews and stuff like that. I think you mentioned, I think at some point they were going to do Bayley and Roxanne at WrestleMania, and that may be why she's kind of hanging around, because they had to kind of pivot, because I think maybe they were expecting Becky to come back and face Lyra for the IC title, and that just kind of didn't happen. So they kind of canceled the Bayley Roxanne program, because it kind of just, they were talking on NXT, they were on a SmackDown with each other, so it's or Raw, whichever brand they're on. Yeah, it seems like they just kind of stopped that like dead real quick, real cold. So I think they had to kind of pivot or something like that. They ended up going with the Lyra Bayley tag team instead. But yeah, I mean, another solid match. Jordynne Grace is one of the best, and Roxanne is just the same. So, but yeah, I think Roxanne's pretty much gonna compete in the match that she's going to be in at Stand and Deliver, and I think she'll be on the main roster maybe the day after Mania or the Friday after Mania. Yeah,
I definitely agree with that. We had another crossover match, Forbidden Door, whatever you want to call it. Obafemi defeated Moose for the defended his NXT championship. I thought this was a great Haas fight. I think they work well together. And I've seen some of Moose. I have not watched TNA much over the last few years. I remember a few years ago I was watching somewhat regularly because it was easier to find or easier to remember. There was less wrestling on TV at the time. Mm-hmm. So I do remember seeing Moose and seeing, I've always wondered how come he hasn't crossed over and joined WWE. You probably know a lot more about that situation than I do, but I definitely thought it was a really good match. I mean, these guys went at it for an NXT Tuesday night show. So what were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, Moose is kind of an underrated Haas. I really don't know why he hasn't gone anywhere else. I feel like he's definitely a big enough star. He's got enough presence. He has a pretty good command of his character and is pretty good on the mic for the most part. So, he's just one of those that seems to have been a TNA lifer for the last little while. Maybe he's one of those that kind of plays at not the twilight of his career, like he's an old man or anything like that. But, maybe once he's kind of getting to the latter stages of his career, he ends up in WWE and has a little bit of a run. But, just a good Haas fight. Obafemi's like we've said a bunch of times, a rising star. He's well deserving of being NXT champion, and he can have a good physical contest with pretty much anybody. So a good little Haas fight there for sure. Yeah,
and he was so over in the room. Mm-hmm. I mean, that everybody doing that whole channel long. I mean, he's got the swagger. He's got he's got the moves. He's it's funny. Well, and when we get to the main event of Stand Deliver, very. All three guys are kind of tweeners at the moment in that match. and he is definitely, has some heel tactics, but he is like kind of almost over like a baby face. Mm-hmm. So
absolutely
looking forward to what's coming from him. Speaking of that main event, we had another participant. Javon Evans defeated Ethan Page in a New York City street fight. This was, fine for what it was. They kind of went all over the place. As I've talked about many times with Javon, the guy makes me nervous. It's not worth it.
Times in that match for sure.
yes. They beat the what out of it. And I remember there were people from my company there, and they were sitting, not far from ringside. And I was like, in my head, I was like, what? I don't know if this was how many times they've been at wrestling shows, but to like be that close to that kind of stuff, and it's your first show, it's kind of wild. I can only imagine. So, no, but it was, it was a street fight. They battled all over the place. So we had, broken things and that and everything. And Javon goes over. So what do you think of that match?
Yeah, I was glad Javon got over because, he hadn't gotten that. It felt like he hadn't gotten that big win in a while. And Paige is a good guy to put him over. I felt like this helped them a little bit because I felt like the last few months of Paige have been kind of not bad, but kind of maybe on the boring side. He doesn't have like the most exciting style. So if he's not in there with the right guy or, and not put in the right situation or the right match, it can get a little tedious sometimes. But I think this definitely brought out the side of him that works really well. Working with kind of a high flyer, selling his stuff, and then being able to brawl a little bit more than maybe usual. So definitely a solid match. And like I said, I'm glad Javon got a solid win because he had needed one for a while.
Yeah, he needed that. I mean, I think, Ethan is one of those guys that kind of seems like he treads water at times. Mm-hmm. And I think that was really what was going on with him. I mean, he was kind of doing that recently up until a few weeks ago. Mm-hmm. When it's starting to really pick back up and get himself into, into another feud, into another, title chase, if you will.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, he's a guy that I see a lot from, but I need to see more.
Yeah, I was saying he could walk out of the next 2 weekends with some gold, so he could be a double champion by the time next weekend, because he's going to be at the TNA show that's happening week after WrestleMania. So,
all right. So then the main event of that show was Stephanie Vaquer versus Julia for a winner-take-all NXT Women's Championship and an NXT Women's North American Championship. And I thought it was a really good match. I mean, the reports going in, Julia was injured, right? And that they kind of had to hot shot this match because this, as we've talked about, we were thinking this was going to be a stand and deliver match from the get go. As soon as these two women signed, and they both were, pretty much elevated as soon as they got in, with rightfully so. But it seemed like they hot shot it. They had to do something, maybe a knee jerk reaction, and I thought it was a really good match. Now, look, if we didn't have those reports about Julia, it might have been a little, would have been a little guessing game. But going into my head, I'm like, Stephanie's taking this because they got to be writing Julia off television. And for somebody who was injured, we'll talk about, we can talk about what the extent of her injury was from what I've heard, at least. You probably heard a lot of the same things. She still wrestled really well in that match. And I thought it was fun. And the fact that they kind of did, Julia did that move. I forgot what it's called. I know Booker has a thing, where Stephanie gets the leg, the head scissors, and does the pounding in the ground where you get the, the cameraman is perfectly set up to catch a tuchus on TV kind of thing. So, hit a little Hebrew Yiddish on me. But yeah, so I thought it was solid from where I was sitting. What do you think of the match?
No, yeah, really, really good stuff. These are two ladies that are probably incapable of having a bad match. So, and Stephanie's at the top of her game right now. I think she's one of the best, if not the best, women's wrestlers in the world. So, NXT's really happy to have her and really lucky to have her at the same time. And Julia's one of the best as well. But I think Stephanie's kind of on another level. I'm glad she won. I wish it kind of could have been on a bigger stage. Obviously, I would have liked for her to have won it on this show that is coming up for us. But you have to be you had to take the precautions that maybe Julia's injury was worse than it ended up being. But yeah, I mean, I completely understand why they did what they did. But hopefully, it leads to a banger. At Stand and Deliver with a couple other girls added in, but hopefully we get to see these two go one-on-one on a bigger stage at some point.
All right, yeah. So it was an ankle injury from what I read, and also coupled that with apparently she might have had some visa issues going on, so they probably didn't know how long it was going to take for her, A, to heal, B, get those resolved, and they didn't want to, I guess, go into the Stand and Deliver build without a working women's champion. That's probably my guess.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And, obviously, maybe even they, kind of brought her back, a couple weeks ago just based on the fact that she was available. If she hadn't been available, they might have just gone on without her. But obviously, she was able to come back and is going to be on the big show. So that's good.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't shocked to see her, because she had been appearing at a couple of house shows right before then when she came back. What happened when she came back? We'll talk about that when we get to previewing that match. So we're going to jump ahead, though, to Stand Deliver. We're going to run down the card. We're going to give our thoughts and kind of how we got here. So, and also as of this recording, which is Wednesday, we waited until after the go home NXT before Stand Deliver because the card was not final. If you want to hear some more thoughts from me, we'll talk about, maybe where you might hear more thoughts from Logan at some point this weekend. Check out the North-South Connection YouTube channel. Ryan was kind enough to have me on there, and I previewed the two main championship matches because when we were set to record, those were the only two matches that were finalized. So I believe somebody else, I think Mike Eller might be previewing the rest of the matches on there. So nice companion pieces, get some different opinions, different takes on it. So this match just came together last night, and it will be on the pre-show, and it is a Fatal 4-Way tag team match, and the winner will become the number one contender for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. And I believe that match will take place on the first NXT after WrestleMania weekend. So the teams are the Metaphor, which is Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson, versus Fatal Influence, Fallon Henley and JC Jane, versus Tina Paxley and Gigi Dolan, versus Roxanne Perez and her partner, Cora Jade. Now, this kind of came together where they were, Tatum had just lost in a qualifier for the ladder match. And I think Lash had also lost in the qualifier, and same with Fallon. And everybody was like, where's the second chance? Where's the second chance? And there was no second chance match to get into the ladder match. So Ava made this match, kind of came together last night. And Roxanne has been hanging around, as we said, NXT, like, how come I'm not on the card? And they told her she find a tag team partner. And then she finally did. Cora came in and basically told her, if you say you're sorry for turning on me, what have you, I'll be a partner, which ended up happening. So I think this is going to be a real fun match. I am up in the air about who I think will win. It's between two teams, but I'm going to let you go first so that maybe you can, what you say may influence my pick.
Yeah, I mean, they've used the Metaphor girls on a lot of main roster stuff lately, and they've had title shots in the past. So they would be like the safe pick, I would say. I don't really see the other two teams winning because I just feel like if Roxanne and Cora are going to be in this match, they kind of need to win.
Yeah.
I mean, not that they're going to be the tag team champions or anything like that, I don't think, but like I think they could get probably the best match out of Liv and Raquel or Bayley and Lyra if they end up winning. But yeah, I mean, I like I said, if Roxanne and Cora weren't in the match, I'd probably go with the Meta Girls. But Roxanne and Cora being the established stars that they are, and obviously just throwing them in this kind of makes me feel like that is probably who's going to be the ones that come out of this with the win.
Yeah, I mean, I off the bat, Metaphor, no, they've had their shots, like you said.
Yeah.
I don't think Fatal Influence either. I think they, I just think they're not that they're not hot right now. I'm not excited about the matchup. Now, Gigi and Tatum is interesting because, not that I think they'll tip their hand on what could happen in the women's tag team title match on WrestleMania weekend, but I could see it going one of two ways. I could see Gigi and your beloved Gigi and Tatum winning and facing Liv and Raquel, because I don't think they would throw Cora and Roxanne to Liv and Raquel, right? Because they're two higher end women in NXT. Look, Cora, if Cora doesn't have all those injuries, she's with Roxanne, ready to go to the main roster. She probably could go to the main roster tomorrow, but in terms of her actual time wrestling, not being injured, that kind of takes it back to it. Now, I find that Lyra Bayley versus Roxanne Cora is a very interesting matchup to have, where I could even see a title change there. I don't, we'll talk about this when we get to it, but I don't like having a mid-card champion in a tag title match.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I would love to see Lyra defending, even if it was on the pre-show against anybody. I would like to see her defend. I don't know, because I just don't. I think what you said in the beginning with the whole Becky, maybe not, maybe they thought Becky was going to be there. They had to. I think that, this is probably not the original plan. So I find that very, it's just an interesting thing. So I agree with you though. If I had to, put down a pick on paper, I'm going to go Roxanne Cora.
Yeah, and
power there, everything.
Yeah, and I mean we talked about the mid-card women's titles, I think last year on Stand and Deliver, kind of starting to introduce them and stuff like that, and the idea that maybe they should have them because of how deep the roster was. But here we are, the next WrestleMania, they introduce them, and neither of them are being defended. Chelsea Green didn't have a match, and Lyra has a match, but she's going for another title. So pretty stupid that you bring these championships into the picture. And Chelsea's not even in a match. She doesn't even seem to be involved in the show. I've heard maybe that they're going to make her the host. I don't know that that's confirmed or if that was like a tangible rumor at any point, but I have seen that floating around. But yeah, the fact that she's not even on the show, I mean, and they haven't really built an opponent for her, I guess, but I mean,
Zelina is kind of the closest thing right now.
Yeah, but yeah, just have like have her and Michin go at it again and have like a big brawl or something like that. They've had some pretty entertaining matches, so
yeah. I mean, they could have her defend on SmackDown this week because
that's true.
The SmackDown before Mania really is kind of almost like a pre-show.
Yeah,
for Mania.
Yeah, because it does have the Andre, so yeah.
Yeah, it has that, and it really like it's a place they seem to put matches that just missed the cut for the WrestleMania card.
Yeah,
it seems. So, all right. So our next match is for the vacant NXT North American Women's Championship. It is the obviously Stephanie ended up vacating. She defended, and one thing we did talk about was she did defend both titles in one night, the NXT North American title and the NXT Championship. She defeated Jada Parker, who challenged for the NXT Women's Championship, and then Fallon Henley for the North American, and then she ended up dropping it. So, and then, as being touted as the first ever double champion woman, and certain Mandy Rose has something to say about that, and I think that that's a lot of malarkey on Mandy's part because yes, Mandy did hold the tag championship. I don't think, was it at the same time as she held the tag championship and the NXT Women's Championship?
Well, I think she was talking about when she won the UK title when they merged them.
Oh, okay.
When they got rid of NXT UK, so she beat I can't even remember who it was, but they merged those. But I mean, she never defended it, so I guess that was kind of where maybe WWE was coming from. They were probably just being assholes and forgetting her, but I'm saying if you want to put logic to it, I think it was probably just like Stephanie actually defended the second title, and Mandy just kind of won that night, and that was kind of it.
Yeah, they're also both NXT proper titles, not NXT UK. So.
It was Miko Satomura, I'm pretty sure, is who she defeated. I'm pretty sure she was the last UK champion. So.
Oh, okay, I got it. All right, so these 6 women all qualified. We have Zarya, Kalani Jordan, Sol Ruka, Izzy Dame, and then Lola Vice and Thea Hale, who both qualified last night. Thea just returned. I can't remember who they defeated, all that. Lola defeated Tatum Paxley, and Thea defeated Carmen Petrovic. So I think this is a solid lineup here. Going on, just looking at it on face value, my guess is it's going to be Sol winning. I like the tag team she has with Zarya. I think that's helped Zarya, who's kind of got overshadowed by Stephanie and Julia, because she was like the trio of them were these big international signees, and she, I guess, is the least heralded coming in out of the 3 of them. So I think it's smart that they kind of pulled back her a little bit and had her in like kind of a tag team situation. But I mean, I don't see Izzy winning. Lonnie's been there before. I don't think she's going to win it again here. I don't think I see Zarya and definitely not Lola or Thea. Although I wouldn't be surprised. The only one that would really be like, what the hell is Izzy winning this match? Everybody else, I could see it. I mean, Thea has been there a long time. She's really grown. She's been off TV for a while. She's kind of back, like, somewhat of a repackage. Lola, hasn't been featured as much lately. She was for a bit. And, Sol and Zarya, I think are your probably your next batch. And I think Sol really is probably out of this whole group is the most over. So I'm going to go Sol Ruka. What do you think of this match? And who's going to win?
Yeah, I could see either Sol or Zarya winning for maybe the partners that start to not get along so much for the most part. So I could definitely see either of them winning for sure. But I'm going to go with Thea. I think her coming back how she did, or, when she did, kind of how she did, she won pretty dominantly in her match last night. So I think they'll kind of go with that. It's kind of the returning hero or whatever you want to call her. And she comes in and wins the big match right off the bat. So,
I could see that. I could see like the Scarpio underdog or something happens where like you think one of the other women's going to win and, they get knocked off the ladder and everybody else is down and she makes that like face that she makes, like that ooh face, and she just climbs up. Yeah, I think the place will explode for that. I think her winning will probably get the biggest reaction. I think of any of the women in the match, but I think people would be fine with most of these women winning. But Thea or Sol would probably be or Zarya after that would probably be the biggest pops if that happens.
Yeah, Thea would be my number one, and then I think I had to go Sol second. So I think you're right on the money if Thea doesn't win.
All right, very good. All right, so the next match is for the NXT Tag Team Championship match. It is Fraxium defending against Hank and Tank, who just won a gauntlet match last night to qualify. Kind of impressive. I actually missed them eliminating one of the teams. I think it was the I can't remember what team it was, but I remember I think I went to use the bathroom and I came back. I'm like, oh wow, that team is gone already. One of the early teams in the match, but I was going to say,
I think Igwe and DuPont got knocked out.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was them. But I think like we've gushed over Fraxium. I think they're awesome. I think they're great. You thought they might have lose the tag belts here and there. They both have appeared on the main roster recently in singles matches. Axiom appeared to take on Gunther when they were in Spain, and then Nathan Frazier took on Ray Phoenix in his debut. Both put on really great showings. We're both very over with the crowd, so definitely main roster ready. I like Hank and Tank. They have really grown on me. They're kind of like, Tank is like a slimmed down version of Otis in a way. They have a lot of energy. They're a fun team but I don't, unless Fraxium is on their way up to the main roster, like right after WrestleMania, I can't see Hank and Tank taking it here. I think it's going to be a hard fought match, but I think Fraxium is going to pull it out and retain the titles. What do you think?
I mean, my thing is I just don't know. I think there's talent in the tag division, but there's nobody. I just don't know that there's anybody at Fraxium's level that's like a clear cut. Like, oh man, this is the team that I know is going to win eventually. So, I think Hank and Tank are over. I think, that they are good. They're a good team. They have a lot of energy. They may not be the best technical team or anything like that. But I think this match will have a lot of energy. I think the crowd will be super into it. Fraxium will be at their best. And they'll get the best they can out of Hank and Tank for sure. But yeah, from a team that could elicit a response if they do win, I think you might have to strike while the iron's hot with this Hank and Tank situation and give them the belts here. But, like you said, unless they're going to the main roster, I kind of would rather them keep the belts. But I just don't know who that team is along the way that's going to beat them. So I'm gonna go Hank and Tank just because I think this might be the time that they take it off of them.
All right, very good. Yeah. We'll see. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm right. Who knows? All right. So for the NXT North American Championship match, we have Ricky Saints defending against Ethan Page. So Ethan Page just qualified in a Fatal 4-Way match. He beat. It was Lexus King, Wesley, and
Eddie Thorpe.
Eddie Thorpe. That's right. It was actually a pretty decent match. I had an idea it was going to be Ethan out of this. I didn't think it was going to be Wesley. I didn't think it was going to be Eddie Thorpe. Nor Lexus King. So it was kind of like he was the one to, I guess, it was pretty much destined, if you will say, for that. A couple of former AEW guys meeting again. I think it's going to be a decent match. I think it's going to be good. I think Ricky Starks is very over. With the NXT crowd, his whole blessing thing. He came in with a lot of fanfare, and I think he's performed well. I think Ethan, has been pretty over. But I think I don't see Ricky Saints losing that belt this quickly. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world for Ethan to win here, but I think because Ricky just has been in maybe a little over a month, I think it's just not the time for him to drop the belt.
Yeah, with him having just won it, which you could have said the same about Shawn Spears losing it to Ricky Saints a few weeks ago, because Spears just beat Tony D for it, but. I think it was ultimately just to kind of transition to Saints once Saints came in. So, yeah, it'll be a solid match. Like you said, Ricky's super over with the crowd. And, we talked about it already, but Ethan's a solid hand. He's not going to have 5-star classics like Ospreay does every time he walks out there, but he's a solid guy. And he's going to get a good match out of Ricky, and Ricky will entertain the crowd. So, definitely might be the most solid match of the card, but might not be super blowaway or anything like that.
Yeah. I don't think it's gonna knock anybody's socks off, but it's gonna be a good match. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so we have another match that was just made last night. The D'Angelo family, Tony D, Luca, and Stax versus Dark State, Dion Lennox, Cutler James, Saquon Sugars, and or Osiris Griffin. I think Osiris will probably be the one not in the match because he hasn't really been in the matches as much. So they did have a big brawl last night. That was quite the started outside, went inside. They went through walls. They went through tables. They used weapons, and then people ended up on cars. And it was, nobody really, more like the D'Angelo family ended up on top, I guess you would say in that brawl. Mm-hmm. I think this is going to be a slobber knocker, I guess, as Jared would say. I think these, it is not Texas Tornado. It is not a street fight, but I think these guys are going to go at it because they've been feuding a bit. And I see Dark State going over now. One thing has been kind of like lingering a little bit, and we'll get. I want to get your thoughts on Dark State because they have kind of grown on people. The Shield. Here's the thing: is like if you look at the two ends of the spectrum for a group like this, are they going to end up like being more in the Shield vein, or are they going to be more in the Retribution vein? Now you want them to be more like the Shield, and when they came out at Roadblock, the crowd was chanting Timu Shield. So I did get a kick out of that. But I mean, these guys are growing. They're getting over. Their in ring is, I only one I've seen was Cutler James really, and Dion Lennox. He wrestled a little bit under that kind of that give me a pair of glasses, I'm a smart guy kind of gimmick that he had with him for a little bit. But and I've seen Cutler James on LFG wrestle a little bit, but I didn't know anything about Osiris or Saquon. Saquon really impressed me in their match they had last week. But I can't see Dark State losing this match. One thought I did have, one of the questions is like, is there somebody behind Dark State, somebody in cahoots with Dark State? Now I have my thoughts as when we get to the main event about that, because I think they're going to have a presence there. But Stax was somebody I thought like a outside shot of kind of being involved because of just how much he knew about them and everything, and maybe he's looking to usurp the boss of the Angelo family, but I don't think so. That was kind of that, just throw something up against the dartboard and see if it sticks kind of idea. But I definitely see Dark State going over in this match. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think Dark State definitely wins to kind of continue to establish themselves. Yeah, they really impressed in that match with the guys that are in the main event, the 6-man that they had. So I was definitely impressed with them there. The brawl, street fight, whatever you want to call it, last night was really good, a really good and well put together segment as well. So, but yeah, I definitely think Dark State takes this one, like I said again, to kind of to continue to establish themselves. I do think Stax will probably turn at some point. I don't know if it'll be at this or during this or after this or something like that, but it definitely seems like Stax is probably going to end up on the wrong side of the D'Angelo family at some point, whether they turn on him or he turns on them, because he continues to seem like he's screwing up left and right every week. So, but we will see with that one.
All right. Now this is a match. I think this is going to be our opener. It is for a fatal 4-way for the NXT Women's Championship. Stephanie Vaquer will be defending against Julia, Jordynne Grace, and Jada Parker. So, Logan, I'm going to let you start so that, we get your thoughts before mine. So, what do you think of how we got here and what the result will be?
Yeah, the only shocking thing to me is the Jada Parker inclusion. I do think she's really improved, and she definitely deserves the spot. I think she's done a ton of great stuff on TV. But the whole time since Jordan came in, since Stephanie came in, since Julia came in, I kind of thought that this was going to be the 3-way that they were going to have if they didn't just do Julia and Stephanie straight up. Obviously, like we've talked about, injuries and stuff like that have kind of interfered with some of the build. So. But I was listening to you and Ryan talk about it. I think you're kind of right on your prediction that Jada and Jordan are going to kind of cancel each other out in this match. I don't think either of them are particularly going to win. If one of them does win, I think it'll be Jordan. But I think Stephanie retains ultimately. I think Julia is probably more suited to probably be on the main roster quicker because I think she's a little bit older. And obviously with the injury already, you want to get the best stuff out of her. So if she's healthy and can do some good stuff on the main roster, go ahead and throw her up there, and let Stephanie continue to kind of bolster that division and be the head honcho there. So I think Stephanie will win, with the outside chance that maybe Jordan wins if they want to put both Stephanie and Julia on the main roster afterwards.
Yeah, I think. I think they may try to avoid that because they don't want these two to be joined at the hip all the time because they kind of came in together, got fanfare together. I thought, Julia returned and with the heel turn, I kind of dig it. I think Jada has really moved up in the pecking order over there. She's kind of she's up there with the original 2.0 girls now. Because she was part of that next class after 2.0, like the Kalani's and Souls and all them. Mm-hmm. Now she's elevated to the Fallon, JC, those Gigi, those kind of girls have been there for a long time. Jordan, she comes in. I don't think she's going to win this match. I can see, like you mentioned, I said that I think her and Jada have had this feud. I think they could. Let that be a detriment, like a distraction where they try to take each other out and they end up getting brawling somewhere away from the ring to eliminate themselves. Yeah. I wouldn't be unhappy if Jordan won. I think it would be a good thing. Now I'm going with Julia here because I think that, Julia, Jordynne Grace could be our main event at the SummerSlam NXT event that could lead up to, so it gives us time for a build. Stephanie kind of works her way back into the fold. But if Julia does lose, if Stephanie wins or anybody else wins, I do see Julia maybe coming up to the main roster not too long after. She might even be a post-WrestleMania call-up because you're right. I think getting her up there, I think with Kyrie coming back, I think Kyrie's pretty much cleared. Mm-hmm. I think Asuka will be back in June, they're saying. I think you could see a brand new, almost like a Damage Control. Mm-hmm. I'm really not happy Mina Shirakawa, kind of signed full-time with AEW because I would love to see her in there because I know they're all, kind of tight, those girls. So it would be a really cool Japanese strong style female faction that would just run amok on everybody. Or we could even see, could Kyrie come in and interfere in this match? Could there be interference somewhere in this match? We don't know, but I think it's going to come down to Julia and Stephanie in the decision. So, So we'll see. So then, now the reason I think this is going to be the opener because I think the men's championship match is going to be our closer because I think it's going to be a mess. And to clean up after this mess will be not fun for the crew to have a time constraint. So it's going to be Obafemi defending against Trick Williams and Javon Evans. The build for this has been really solid. I mean, these guys have been at each other's throats, basically, brawling. Javon has been dropping them. Dark State has been somewhat involved with this, where they've been attacking them all. They've all gotten attacked, and I think Dark State may play a role in the finish. I don't think Trick is going to win. I think Trick is probably main roster bound, because I don't think there's much more he can do down there. Now, if we talk about Dark State's possible inclusion here, I don't think Trick is involved with them, because then, it does nothing for Trick.
Yeah.
And it keeps him down there.
Stuck more. Yeah.
Oba doesn't need them because Oba's the ruler.
Mm-hmm.
I think Javon Evans might be in cahoots, or may end up, taking the assists from them. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually going to go on a limb and say Javon Evans walks out as our NXT champion, with assistance from Dark State, if they get involved. If they don't get involved, I see Oba retaining. But I think this whole Dark State thing, there's fire behind the smoke here, and I think he's going to play that whole young OG. I've been held down by the older guys. I got I've been on TV, but I haven't had the opportunities I should have had by now. Yada yada yada. And they've all been pretty much tweeners, though. I mean, all of them have acted that way. They've kind of done dick moves to each other, but Trick technically is a babyface. I mean, if you look at the backstage paper, it would be Oba's on the heel side, Javon, and Trick on the face side. None of them have been acting like one or the other. They've been down the middle, being cool, being a dick, whatever. But I'm gonna go on a limb and say if Dark State interferes, Javon Evans walks out with the title.
Yeah, I kind of agree. If Dark State gets involved during the match, I would say, there's going to be a new champion, whether it's Trick or Javon. I'm kind of with you. Like, it doesn't really do much for Trick to be the leader of this group, other than maybe like showing another heel run or something like that. But he's kind of done that with Mello already, and he's been a face. He's been the face of the brand. He's been, he's been the number one guy and all that. So I think he's done pretty much everything he can do on NXT. So he really needs to, have some new territory to kind of roll around in. So, Javon makes sense. That'll get his version of what a heel looks like or anything like that for him. So, and he can kind of be the leader of this group that probably needs like a little bit of a star power situation to it. So, if they get involved, I'd say Javon probably takes it, which will make I know that'll make Ryder super super excited, because that's his guy, Roger's nephew. But yeah, I think maybe the whole turn comes after the match. I'm going to pick Oba as the kind of safe bet. But I'm going to pick him to win without any interference, and then maybe after the match.
Dark State attacks and Javon joins.
Big reveal,
or something. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you with the star power, because if we look at the Shield, right, they weren't that known to people that didn't watch NXT, but they were featured on NXT. I mean, Seth was the NXT champion. Mm-hmm. I mean, Roman was pretty heavily featured. Ambrose was featured. So these guys were not like unknown to like everybody. I mean, these other guys are like, we don't know we don't know what the hell's going on with these guys. And there's been some confusion with Cutler being on LFG, yada yada, and Dion with the character change and stuff. So definitely agree. Like, I could see like Javon like being that like kind of like chicken shit heel, like kind of hiding behind the muscle kind of thing, and being like a jerk about things. I could definitely see that. So I think the safe bet is probably, probably the right bet.
Yeah, you hate to be boring sometimes, but I think ultimately Oba's not done being champion yet, and I think we could see a little bit more of a chase from maybe a heel Javon Evans.
Yeah, I mean, or there could be even more chicanery, not chicanery, but like even more like because what happens, like, if there's fallout from the 6-man tag earlier in the night and the Dark State gets involved and the D'Angelo family get involved, and we could have like it could be batshit crazy. So we don't know. I just think they're going to wreck the place. That's what I think. That's the one thing I'm pretty certain of. They're going to wreck the place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right. So that's our Stand and Deliver preview. So we're going to quickly go through WrestleMania since we're here and kind of give our quick thoughts here. I know we cover NXT, but why not? It's WrestleMania season. Everybody should have a turn to give their predictions. So let's see. Night one, we got for the World Heavyweight Championship, Gunther defending against Jey Uso. As much as the pop will be if Jey were to win, I don't know. I can't see them taking the belt off Gunther here. I thought the build has really improved over the last couple of weeks for this match, but I just can't see Gunther not walking out with the title here. What do you think?
Yeah, it's going to be really disappointing because the pop would be absolutely enormous if Jey wins. But I'm kind of with you. I kind of haven't bought into the idea that everybody's saying Jey's going to win. So I think Gunther walks out too. I think it's. I think they kind of cuck us with the pop of Jey maybe winning, and Gunther walks away again.
Yeah. All right. So for the World Tag Team Championship, we got the War Raiders, Eric and Ivar, defending against the New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods. What do you think is going to happen here?
Who cares? I'm just kidding.
Who you inviting, Sean?
Yeah. I've become more of his son over the last little while. No, I'm just playing. I'll just pick New Day just because I think that they've been, ever since the Big E turn, they've kind of been trying to present them as a new version of themselves and stuff like that. So I could see them giving the New Day as just kind of like a thank you for being loyal and thank you for trying out this new thing and kind of doing really well at it. So here's the tag belts. Yeah,
I agree. I think the New Day is going to take it. I love kind of the return to form for the War Raiders, going back. Forget about the Viking experience, the whatever they called themselves, the Viking Raiders, whatever. No, these are the War Raiders. These are the guys that we loved in NXT, and they've been pretty good in this title run. But I think the New Day, they've earned it. I think they're going to take the belts here, and we get them as the first time as heel champions. All right. So next match is a singles match. Rey Mysterio versus El Grande Americano, who's no longer billed from Gulf of America. He's billed from Gulf of Mexico now. I think that you got a little flack for that.
Might have got a little shit.
Yeah, I think, of course it's going to get revealed who's under the El Grande Americano mask. It's Chad Gable. I think he gets the win here. I think Rey, he needs it. It's his first singles match, I guess, in WrestleMania, and I think Rey, Hall of Famer, he's kind of wins and losses don't really matter at this point in his career. So that's where I'm going with. I'm going with El Grande Americano.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Grande as well. Like you said, I think Rey kind of gets one over on him after the match and exposes who he really is. I think Grande takes it. Probably not by somewhat nefarious means, maybe sneaking something and grabbing a pinfall out of nowhere or something like that. So, or maybe using the loaded mask that he used on Raw either last week or the week before.
He's done it twice, I think, already.
Yeah. So maybe uses that to get the win. But I think he might get exposed afterwards.
I never thought somebody named after a Starbucks order would get on a WrestleMania card. All right. This could be low-key pretty great. Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, this could, spill into night two, but as great as Naomi's been as a heel in this, Jade's got to go over here. I think she needs to go over like pretty dominating fashion. I think she just needs to beat the piss out of Naomi basically, and be the standing over her at the end, and then we'll see if anything else happens with these two over the course of the weekend. But what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be like a straight up squash, but it needs to be pretty dominant victory for Jade. I think Naomi will get a little bit of offense in there somewhere, but Jade needs to look pretty dominant and get the win and kind of build herself for whatever she has going forward.
All right. Next match is for the WWE United States Championship. L.A. Knight, defending against the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu. So, Logan, what do you think is going to happen here?
This one's kind of up in the air. I mean, I feel like LA just won the U.S. title back. I mean, it's been a minute, I guess, a little bit, but Jacob just seems like one of those guys that they're really behind. I think a lot of the fans like him a lot. I think they're kind of hoping he splits away from Tama and Solo, and I don't know if he'd be face necessarily, but maybe just kind of more of a tweener and just more of a kind of a badass, kick-ass motherfucker like he has been. So I'll pick Jacob, but I wouldn't be at all surprised if LA Knights kind of sneaks one out and they extend this rivalry a little bit further.
Yeah, where Jacob takes the title at Backlash.
Eventually, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Jacob Fatu. I think they kind of are strapping the rocket to him.
Yeah,
getting him over there. It's very similar to when Stone Cold was a heel. It was like he was a dick. He was heelish tactics, all that stuff, but the crowd loves him. And I think that's the way it is with Jacob. I think he's just so damn impressive in the ring. I think his promos have been so great. I mean, the fact that he's kind of some dissension going on there with that bloodline splinter faction, whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. He has outshone Solo and the whatever they're called, the Gorillas of Destiny, whatever the hell the damn things were over in New Japan.
Yeah, that's right.
I think he's basically outshined all of them. So I think he's going to win it. I mean, or conversely, I think maybe LA Knight wins like in a roll up, and then gets the snot beat out of him after, and we get a rematch down the road, and Jacob takes it. But I think Jacob's going to walk out with the title. All right, next match is for the WWE Women's Championship. Tiffany Stratton defending against Charlotte Flair. Now, I hope Jenny doesn't listen to this because I'm going Tiffany. I think Charlotte doesn't need a belt to be relevant. Mm-hmm. You saw what happened with Asuka. Asuka did recover from it, but I thought it took a lot of wind out of the sails for her to beat Asuka at WrestleMania. And I think that there is more benefit from Tiffany winning this match than from Charlotte. So I'm going to go with Tiffy time at WrestleMania. What do you think, Logan?
Yeah, this one's definitely hard to predict because I really could see it going either way. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do think Tiffany needs it more. I think it could be a real establishment win for her. I mean, she's already been, women's champion for a bit. But like this is a major star that she's going up against. And, just based on how the feud's going, based on how the, kind of interviews have gone over the last month or so, some being a little bit more awkward than others. Yeah, I think Tiffany definitely needs it a little more than Charlotte does, but would not all be surprised if Charlotte wins. But I'll go Tiffany just because I think she deserves it, but also probably needs it a little bit more than Charlotte does.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, if Charlotte wins. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But I think in terms of Tiffany, who is young, is they're trying to establish get away. Not that they're getting away from the horsewomen kind of era, but she's somebody that they've really put a lot behind. She was pretty dominant in NXT, and she's been okay on the main roster. I think she's over. I think her feud with Nia, hopefully she doesn't appear and interfere in this match. God help us if she does.
Mm-hmm.
But I know. I think you have to look at the long-term benefits versus the long-term, ramifications. If but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. That's what I mean. All right, so our main event of night one is a triple threat match: Roman Reigns versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. This has been a very interesting build. A lot of people are predicting a similar outcome, but let's hear what your prediction will be.
Yeah, I've gone. I think shockingly enough, after having a 1,300-day title reign, Roman's probably the third guy that I would pick in this match.
Yeah,
I think he's probably the one that doesn't get anything out of winning this match, particularly. And that obviously the rumors have been that maybe Heyman might go with Rollins based on how the last few weeks of promos have gone, and just to kind of do a little bit of a swerve for swerve's sake to kind of splinter him off from two of his his tribal chief and his best friend. But I'm going to go with Punk. I don't think they put Punk in this situation if he's not coming away with a win. So I'm going to go with Punk. I won't say Heyman's necessarily going to help him, but he's not going to hurt him at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, I think I agree with that logic. With Punk finally gets his main event, and he wins. They could also go with Punk finally gets the main event, but he blows it, and that kind of becomes his version of finishing the story. Like, all right, I made the main event. Now I gotta get back there, and I gotta win the main event, kind of thing. And that could be his driving factor. The whole thing. Here's the thing. Everybody is saying it online. So WWE is a lot smarter than it used to be in terms of, when the old man was there, he did what he wanted to do. He didn't give a shit about what rumors were, whatever. If there was something that was his plan, that was his plan. Now, not that they listen more, but they don't want to be as predictable. And that's the only thing I could see with Punk winning is they don't want to be predictable. Because if it wasn't for this whole kind of Paul factor, I'm going Punk. But the Paul factor of him, aligning with Seth, that throws a wrinkle into things.
Yeah.
And I could see Seth. I think Seth benefits more than anybody from this because he hasn't had, he had the tag match and he was the Shield in the match and all that stuff, yada yada yada. But I don't know. If I had to if we had money on the line, God, I was all about to say Seth, but then you kind of convinced me with the whole Punk thing. So I'm going to go Punk here.
Yeah, I could see your scenario too, where he he gets to the main event this time, but he fails and might come back in the future, and that's his next goal is to win one. So
or we could see Punk win and then Paul turn on him immediately after or something. Something like that, and turn on both of them though. It would turn on, Roman and Punk. All right, so move on to night two. We have the tag team match for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship. Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez defending against Bayley and Lyra. Bayley and Lyra, kind of a put-together team, won the gauntlet match on SmackDown last week. And we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier in our Stand and Deliver preview. I don't know. I can't. I'm going to go Liv and Raquel. I just think that they're going to win, and they're going to, go on to face whichever team, wins in the pre-show at Stand and Deliver. As much as I like Lyra and Bayley, I think this was kind of put together, and I don't know if there's long-term planning for this. So unless again Cora and Roxanne win, and maybe they take the belts off of them after a short reign, and then Bayley kind of turns heel again. But I don't know if I don't know if that makes sense, but as I'm saying it out loud. But what are your thoughts here before so I can stop talking?
No, you're good. I think Lyra and Bailey are headed for more matches for the IC title, whether it's based on a heel turn or just based on the fact that they don't win here and they just want to face each other again. But yeah, Liv and Raquel are definitely retaining here. You know, they won pretty recently in the grand scheme of things, so I don't think they're ready to lose them quite yet.
All right. So our next match is a singles match: AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. I think this is going to be a great match. Logan Paul is sneakily good. I mean, you know, one of those guys that like was a crossover, but he has been really good. He has put on some solid matches. I think him and AJ, this could be low key a one of the top 5 matches of the weekend. It has the makings of. I don't think a loss hurts either guy. I think Logan Paul is one of those people. You know, if he puts on a fun match, I think the fans are happy with it. I don't think it affects him either way because I think if he wins, he's boast. If he loses, he's a douche. You know about it. You know, he's a douche either way. But you know, it doesn't affect him because he'll talk his way, you know, out of whichever way it happens. AJ, you know, I think AJ, you know, is probably going to get one more title run because, you know, he's getting towards the sunset of his career, I think. And, you know, if we were putting money on it, I'm going to say, you know, Logan puts on a great show, but AJ wins in the end. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to predict Logan Paul matches because if I thought he was going to be, you know, super duper involved, like after this. I mean, obviously he's not going to be on every week or anything like that, but if he's going to be kind of more regular after this, then, you know, he would be. I think he would probably definitely win. But the fact that he's not and the fact that he probably won't be kind of, you know, stunts that a little bit for me. So I'll go AJ, just as kind of like, again, probably the safe pick, but just for the fact that I don't know that Logan's kind of hanging around consistently. I don't really know if the win does anything for him in that scenario. So I'll go with AJ.
All right. Very good. All right. So our next match is a fatal 4-way for the WWE Intercontinental Championship. Braun Breaker defending against Penta, Finn Balor, and Dominic Mysterio. All right. So, Logan, I'll let you give your thoughts first on this one.
I'm moving with their Dirty Dom here. I think, you know, Braun super spears the shit out of Finn or something like that, or Penta hits the Penta driver or something to that effect, and Dirty Dom picks up the scraps when he throws them out of the ring, or, you know, the other two guys knock themselves out while Finn's destroyed on the ground or something like that. But yeah, I think Dom's going to take it here. I think, you know, he can be the kind of chicken shit Intercontinental Champion for a little while, and maybe Penta beats him eventually. Penta would be my other pick here. I don't particularly think Braun retains, and I don't think Finn will take it. But I'm going to go with Dom, but I wouldn't be surprised if Penta won it either.
Yeah, I agree with your scenario. I think Dom's gonna pick it up after somebody gets the snot beat out of them, like in a spear. And then he just, like, you know, gets the roll up victory, and then he's the chicken shit heel champion. You know, he's earned it. I mean, you know, who would have thought a few years ago that Dom Mysterio would be like the most over guy? And I think the crowd will be a combination of happy and pissed at the same time. I think if that happens, Braun, I think is ready for the next step.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been. Here's the thing. I think they should, outside of Roman, tell everybody else in the roster, y'all can't do spears anymore because you look like shit compared to these two guys. Mm-hmm. I mean, even Braun's is insane. I mean, poor Carlito. The last 2 weeks is really, you know,
just ripped in half. Yeah.
It's like Bobby Boucher type hits.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I see him and I turn into Farmer Fred, like, oh, he got killed him. You know, it's been insane. And yeah, I think Penta will hang around. I mean, you know, I think they're giving him and Rey Fenix some time to establish themselves, get themselves over, but they will come together, you know, as the Lucha Brothers at some point, maybe 6 months from now. Finn, I like to see Finn, get back in the world title picture at some point. I think Braun is going up there. So it's Dom, and if Dom doesn't win, I think Braun retains, and then he loses it, maybe in next month or something like that. But that's my pick for that one. So our next match is a Sin City Street Fight: Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Drew's got to get a big win on a pay-per-view. So I thought this feud has been built really well. Drew has been killing it as usual on social media. I think Priest has really shown that he belongs with the big boys. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to go with Drew in this match. Well, what do you think?
Yeah, Priest's kind of gotten 2 in a row over on him. He eliminated from the Rumble, eliminated him from the Elimination Chamber. So I think, like you said, yeah, Drew definitely needs a big win in a big situation. Maybe not Priest is good, and he's definitely very much improved and had a great title reign the past year, but, maybe not the most exciting guy for Drew to go up against, but they'll have a good hoss fight. Making a street fight was definitely a good idea. And I think they'll have a good, meaty men slapping meat kind of match. So, but yeah, I think Drew definitely deserves and kind of needs the win a little bit more.
All right. So our next match is a 3-way triple threat match for the Women's World Championship. Io Sky defending against Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley. All right. So Logan, I'll let you go first on this one.
Man, why'd you have to do that?
I can go first if you want. It's no big deal.
No, I'm just playing. Yeah, this one's kind of up in the air for me because I was thinking, obviously, going into the whole thing before Rhea lost the title to Io, that it would be just Rhea and Bianca, and I was ready to give Bianca the belt, but I don't know. I think it kind of might be a Jada Parker, Jordan Grace kind of situation. I think they'll kind of forget about Io a little bit, and Io might sneak one out on both of them in this situation. So I'm gonna go with maybe a little bit of an upset and pick Io, but honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if any of the 3 women walked out of the match with the belt. So, but I'm gonna say that Bianca and Rhea kind of pay a little bit too much attention to each other and kind of forget about Io, and Io sneaks one out on them.
I agree with you. I think Io has been the forgotten person in this, and they've kind of played that up a little bit, like not to sleep on her. But I don't know. I think Rhea. Here's the thing. So I'm feeling a Bianca heel turn coming soon. Now, does that affect what could happen here? Does Jade come out here, or say Bianca wins, and then on the Raw after Mania or whatever, SmackDown, whatever show, it comes out, it's the Raw title. So that she was also involved, along with Naomi in the attack on Jade, and then that gets established, and we have that Jade Bianca feud that leads us up to SummerSlam. So, if Io wins, where do we go from there? If Rhea wins, she kind of like forced her way into the match because she lost, kind of thing. But I don't know. I think Bianca's going to take it, and we'll either turn heel that night or right shortly thereafter, and it may come out that she was really the mastermind behind the Jade attack.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I could definitely see it going that way. I could also see maybe like Io winning, and maybe Bianca the next night kind of establishing herself as a heel, and then maybe again at the Backlash show or something like that, taking the belt, and then they start that build to kind of SummerSlam with Jade and Bianca being the big match. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised again if any of them won, but if I had to stack rank them, I would make my prediction as Io, and then Bianca would be my second choice for sure.
Yeah, I think I would go Bianca, Io, Rhea in this. Which is really surprising that Rhea is kind of like our last pick here.
And she'll be the one that wins it for just because we said that.
Yeah, we're willing it into existence.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so in our main event for night 2, Cody Rhodes defending against John Cena. I kind of don't know what's going to happen here.
Yeah.
Because one of two things. You could have Cody win, and John Cena's heel turn is kind of, The Rock beats him down for not doing the job, which I don't think that's going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think John Cena's going to win, and we're going to have a heel champion, Cena, run through at least the summer, and maybe, lose the belt at SummerSlam to somebody, and then the return to a babyface for the last few months of his retirement tour. So I'm gonna go with as Santino Marella would say, John Cena in this match.
John Cena.
John Cena here winning over the Cuppy Roads.
John Cena with stupid head Baptista. So those are always my favorites. I think that's the really good thing about this WrestleMania is not much is certain as far as predictions or anything like that. You go a lot of ways on a lot of different matches. I feel like so. I feel like that's a good thing probably heading into a Mania, but I would probably rather Cody win. I don't necessarily want to see a Cena title reign at this point. I know they may just do it for the 17 of it all. But I do think Cena probably will win just to get the 17th title. So he would be my prediction, but I would probably rather see Cody just keep going with it and, maybe put over, maybe if Gunther does lose, maybe put over a Gunther at SummerSlam and give him the big strap. But I'm going to go with Cena just because I think that they want him to win that 17th one.
Do we get a third man revealed as part of this? The Rock's with his whole, the whatever he's doing with his fingers, somebody, people have said it could be Randy, it could be Seth, it could, I think there's going to be interference in this match. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's going to be clean. I don't think we're going to get Avengers Endgame like we did last year, which was incredible. Mm-hmm. But I think there's definitely going to be some stuff going on. But at the end of the day, I think Cena walks out with the belt. So
yeah, that'll definitely be some chicanery. I don't know about a third man, but I definitely think whatever the next part of Rock's plan is will go into effect, and he may do the third finger with the throat slit or whatever. So, but we'll see. But yeah, I think Cena ends up taking the belt.
All right. So then, and this has been hasn't been as exciting the last couple of years. But the Raw after Mania, we got NXT after Stand and Deliver, and we also have the SmackDown after Mania coming. So, any thoughts on any possible call-ups? Now, we've talked about Julia possibly. I think Julia's probably has a better chance than Stephanie going up. We could see the Meta Girls. Roxanne is pretty much all but up on the main roster. I think from the men's side, I can't really think of anybody besides Trick right now who could come up. Anybody come to mind for you for any post WrestleMania call ups?
No, I think Roxanne's pretty cut and dry. So that's going to happen. No, whatever brand she's on or whatever, but. I think she's up after this tag team match because maybe she turns on Cora again. Kind of takes her out, or maybe vice versa. Maybe Cora takes her out, and then she shows up on SmackDown or Raw the next week or something like that, and kind of establishes herself as a main roster talent at that point. But I feel like they haven't done a ton of right after Mania call-ups over the last few years. So I think Trick will be up eventually, but I think they'll still kind of play it out until maybe the middle of the summer or something like that. So
unless they have a draft, which we haven't heard about the next draft. Although it was mentioned by somebody mentioned the draft last night on I think Javon mentioned the draft last night. So I don't know if that's something that's going to be coming soon. Usually happens post Mania. Mm-hmm. So there's also some, like you said, some notables that are not on the card. Karen Cross, Chelsea. Mm-hmm. Quite a bit of other tag teams aren't on there. We don't have the SmackDown tag titles being defended on there. I don't know if they're doing something on SmackDown.
Yeah, the Profits are facing the Machine Guns this week, I think. So.
Oh, okay, all right. So that's our tag titles. Yeah, Yes, it's shaping up to be a fun weekend. I hope everybody from the Place to Be Nation Backbone North-South Connection group all have a great time.
Okay, before we go, quick, do you think Randy will have a match?
I hope so.
Yeah.
I mean, how many WrestleManias does Randy have left, really? It would be a shame to see him, not be on the card. I mean, maybe we get an impromptu match against Nick Aldis or a returning Malachi, Aleister Black, or Rusev or somebody we could get there. But there is one more newsy item, and we'll probably talk about this more on our next episode a little bit. But, just come out, Mariah May's contract is up this year. We don't know exactly when. Some people say summer, some people say November, but it's all the dirt sheets or the websites, whatever you want to call them. And a lot of times they are full of shit. But everybody seems to be in accordance with that. Mariah May is all but headed to WWE once your contract is up. Now, I think that will be the case. I think she hasn't been featured on TV, and I think Tony, the petulant child that he is, keeps people off TV that he thinks that are going to leave. So I think again, once again, there's a little smoke there. And if you look back at her social medias, she has, made mention of being the dream of being in WWE, dream of wrestling at WrestleMania, which I think is a dream for a lot of people that get into this business. But my question, since this is our NXT pod, does Mariah May go to NXT, or did she establish herself as a big enough star in AEW? She was the world champion, to go directly to Raw or SmackDown. What do you think?
I don't know, because I could see her being kind of. I like, obviously I don't know her personally or anything like that, but I could see her kind of doing somewhat of a power play and being like, yeah, I'm bigger than NXT or something like that, and wanting to go straight to the main roster. I definitely think she's over enough, think she's talented enough to be able to do so, to go straight to the main roster. But, just to get like used to how, WWE does TV and production and all that kind of stuff. I think even a short NXT run would do pretty much anybody coming in a little bit of good, just to kind of get used to the ring, used to the all the kind of stuff that happens around the shows and stuff like that. So whether she feels like she needs to or deserves to or whatever you want to say, I think she could probably do some good in NXT, and like I said, maybe not have a super long run, but just kind of get her feet under her there.
Yeah, the thing that people don't realize too is that if people do sign and they go to NXT, they're in Orlando. They're at the Performance Center. They're there every day working, learning the style, learning the things, working on the stuff. It's not like they're kind of being thrown to the wolves, so to speak, on the main roster. But I think, look, Mariah May gets thrown into the deep end. She's going to swim. She's not going to sink. I think she's established herself enough. I think the only thing is that she did not have enough that did not involve Toni Storm. You know what I mean? She was pretty much intertwined with Toni Storm over there, in whether it would be like alignment or feuding with. And I think they might want to test her out on her own, so to speak. But I think it'll be a big signing regardless. She is miles ahead of Jade, where Jade was when she signed, and there was so much fanfare there. So I could definitely see her, when her contract is up, being one of those like, ooh, in the crowd at an NXT show or something, kind of thing. And then because that happened, they've done that with all their big signings, And Mariah May was really better known from Shimmer than she was, anything else prior.
Yeah, I was saying, and Jeff Cobb was another name that kind of came up in the news recently that says he's leaving in JPW, so he could be another one that could show up on NXT for a little bit and then go up to the main roster. But I could see him kind of doing the same thing, pulling maybe a little bit of a power play and being like, I've been established for a long time. I can be main roster bound immediately. So, but we'll see. Either could go either way. But like I said, just to kind of get used to how WWE does things, I think a short NXT run could always benefit anybody, you know.
Yeah, no, this is a very exciting time, very exciting week for wrestling fans, WWE fans, and you know, there's lots of shows going on out in Vegas, lots of opportunities for, you know, people, you know, that we're friends with are either arriving or on their way. They've already met several wrestlers, and it's going to be a fun weekend, and I'm really looking forward to it. Logan, I hear rumors that you may be possibly be on a post game show for Stand Deliver. Is that a true fact?
It's kind of up in the air right now. Might have some stuff going on that afternoon that might prevent me from being on, but we'll see as we get kind of closer to the day. But we all hopefully we can pull it off. But with it being Easter weekend, you know, Easter egg hunts with the little kid and all that kind of stuff may interfere a little bit. But yeah, we're going to try to make it work. But we'll see if we can pull it off.
All right, so keep your eyes peeled. Regardless, check out whomever Ryan has. But if Logan, y'all are required to watch. I will be watching live. You know, as long as I'm not in the middle of you know, trying to get like 1,000 errands between Stand and Deliver and and WrestleMania Night 1. You know, in there. But no, it should be cool. But you know, whether you're on with Ryan or not on the North South Connection YouTube channel, there will be a cross up. My guess is that it might not be Monday. It might be Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Is that because I know that's happened before when there's been busy weekends? So, where your next week's cross up, would that be on Monday or Tuesday? Do you think?
Yeah, we're probably going to drop it on Tuesday this week. I actually haven't ran it by the boss quite yet. Wink, wink. But I'm probably going to drop it Tuesday just so I can cover both nights of Mania and, you know, get it in and not have to like kill myself to get it in the night after Mania or whatever like that. So I'll probably record it sometime Monday and get it through and put it on the Backbone Wrestling Network Tuesday morning. So Schiff will probably be pissed at me for not getting it out Monday morning because I know it means a lot to him. But hopefully around Tuesday morning he'll still be excited about it.
Schiff, you're worried about Schiff? Oh, come on.
My number one fan. So I mean,
well, we know Rooney's not your number one fan anymore.
Yeah, I fucked that away today. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I no longer listen to Highway to the Impact YouTube roulette, ma'am. I'm surprised he listens to any of my shows. So that's it. Yeah. You know. All right. Well, speaking of my shows, other places you can see me. Still kind of treading water a little bit with some of my shows because of you know, personal life is a little busy. So, but every weekday on the PlayStation Pop Experience. I forgot my own feed for a second. You can hear the Video Jukebox Song of the Day. That's myself and Steve Riddle kind of alternating. So, and then also Pop Goes the Classics. That is our Disney pod. Myself, Steve, and Miranda Berthold. That drops pretty much monthly. And, you know, my other pods, the Muppet Pod, Laugh in Theater, Blockbuster Rewatch. A lot of those, you know, our hopes of bringing them back. And also a couple other shows may return in the fall. So stay tuned. If you are a fan of trivia, that is one, and if you're a fan of years, that's the other show. So those are soft teases, as our friend Tim Cable would say. Logan, what else do you have going on in terms of podcasts and social medias?
You mentioned the North South Connection. I have Talking Docs on there with Jenny and Roger. We may cover, I'm not going to say that we're definitely going to do this, but we may cover the new WrestleMania 9 documentary before we move on to our next season. So we may have that kind of in a post-Mania situation. But I believe our next season we're going to go into is going to be like a sports documentary category. So that'll be our next kind of round of stuff that we'll do. But like I said, we might take a side venture to cover that documentary that just came out. But yeah, everything else is on the Backbone Wrestling Network, Highway to the Impact Zone, YouTube Roulette, and Linking Up Lucha is just a cavalcade of awesome shows with a lot of them featuring me. Maybe, unfortunately, maybe that's a good thing. We'll see. But yeah, just check out everything we got going on over there. Everybody's putting out really good stuff for us, and we'll continue to hopefully do so.
All right. Very good. Yeah, check out all the podcast feeds, all of the YouTube channels. Most of the Pop Experience, the PlayStation Wrestling Network and Backbone, those are pretty much just the pods. But North-South Connection, check them out because they have YouTube exclusive, things that they're doing over there, or doing video podcasts that have video components to them. So make sure you check out PlayStation.com and also join the Place to Be Facebook group. All right, so biggest weekend of the year for wrestling fans. Hope everybody enjoys it, has a great time, has fun, lots of debate to come, and just have a great WrestleMania weekend. So, for Logan Crosland, I am Andy Atherton. Thank you for joining us on Who's Next, and we'll check you out on our next episode.